Microphone check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello, hello, hello. How's it going? Welcome back. This is week like 20 or something of this political podcast we're doing. I'm Sean, Fire of Life 2018. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. I obviously don't say that often enough. We're here every Wednesday. We're trying to change the world. I think we have all across all aisles, we can all agree that we need some change. And I think it's really gonna be about the way we change how we elect our elected officials. My option for that is single transferable voting. Of course, it doesn't work. There it is. I know I've done this many a times because there's a Wikipedia page for it. There's the link for what single transferable voting is. Basically, it means your vote counts more. Like, you get to vote for more than one person for president, or whatever we're voting for. We get to vote for more than one person. And then mathematically, they're systematically removed from the bottom up. So if your candidate gets eliminated, your number 2 choice counts. If your number 1 and number 2 get eliminated, your number 3 still counts. So that's definitely a thing. Star is slightly better. What's better? I mean, like in the voting system, is that what you're referring to, Star? Let's Google that. Star vote system. Click on one that's not an ad. All right. Score, then automatic runoff. Star voting is all about the idea that we should be able to vote our conscience. Our votes should never be wasted, and our elections should accurately reflect the will of the people. Uh-oh. Did you get, like, censored? I don't know. All I got was three asterisks. Whether or not your favorite can win, the finalist you preferred gets your vote. Ballots are counted in two-step process. Scoring, the two highest scoring candidates are finalists. Runoff, your vote goes into the finalist you prefer. Carmen advance to the runoff. Why is this better? This just seems a little way more complicated to me. Star sends off a score, then automatic runoff, and that's exactly how it works. The scoring round. Add up all the stars from all the ballots, and the two highest scoring finalists. Finalists preferred are more voters win in the runoff. Each ballot counts as one vote for the finalist and the voter. It kind of sounds a lot like we have the system that we have currently. Oh yeah, Nightbot probably stops your link there. You can put that in the Discord if you want. As long as you don't do like rapid fire, I believe Nightbot will let you post a link in the general chat in Discord, maybe once a day. Nightbot's pretty harsh because the bots are pretty real. This one seems complicated, but I'm not going to say that it's the worst. I don't even claim to be the one who's going to tell everybody what should be the system we should vote. I think my system for changing the vote is like the next time you go to the polls and you're displeased with your candidate options, you should write in change the vote. That's my plan. Like, we need to get more people to do it because you have to get 10% of your precincts totals to even get like noticed by anybody that it's a thing. It is simple because you just rank candidates on an intuitive 5-star scale, and the math gives you the highest voter satisfaction with the results. It is complicated internally somewhat, but from a user perspective, you just rank each candidate from 1 to 5 stars. Based off what? Like, just how you feel? Like, I kind of like I like to use the example of 2020 election, where we had 1 million Democrats that were running for the situation. If you hate 2-0, if you love 2-5. So, I mean, like, I feel like that could get into a popularity contest, like, so super quick. But I'm not going to say that I know everything. I don't claim to be the one. I would like to start a movement to get them to discuss changing how we vote. I don't claim to be one of the intellectual elite that probably should be running the country. I just feel like we need to get people up there who want to make this change. So that means we have to get them to notice that we want some change, and then we need to get the movement spread. And then there's this whole situation with term limits. Once we get in term limits, and once we change the way we elect our elected officials, all the rest of the world's problems will just kind of fix themselves, because new people and new ideas, new innovations, new collaborations will create new ideas, as opposed to having the same old white men run the country for 30 years. I'm not going to say they've run it into the ground. I'll let you look for yourself to see whether they've run this fabulous breadbasket, food-giving plethora of a nation continent into the ground. Basically used up all the Earth's resources and then was like, oh yeah, sorry guys, here's a bunch of money we made off of that. Good luck, we're dead now. Oh yeah, good thing we can't breathe or drink money. That'll be handy. I'm not going to say the rich people won't be able to buy clean water and air longer than the rest of us. But, let's hope there's still time for change. I worry about the climate more than anything, and I am at a loss as to what else to do to help change the world. So I think we need to get them to change the way we agree. So that's the plan, is we're going to meet here every Wednesday, 9 o'clock. We're going to have an hour discussion. We're going to talk about ways to change votes, like this one. I didn't even know what it was. That seems like a very viable option. I don't want to poo-poo anybody's ideas. I just want to implement change. I would like to move forward with that. So, by all means, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to remind yourself to be here once a week. It's the only time I stream is this hour. To bring together people a thing. Thank you so much for that. I would really like to see this become a political rally. Like, if you want to join the Discord and you want to come on the stream, I can totally do that. And you can present this star voting in your options maybe next week. Just reach out to me in the Discord and we'll we'll arrange that for you. You may invite whoever you'd like to the stream every week, and if we continually bring this growth, maybe we can start the Twitch political party and just write in our own candidate for who wants to do it or whatever. I don't really claim to be the mastermind of this. I would like to create a space for people to gather to implement change. You don't even have to leave your couch. You can literally do this on your mobile phone from wherever you are at 9 o'clock on Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time. Be here. Be ready to discuss how the world works. So I guess I'm going to do some research on this, and we're going to talk about it next week. So we'll come back to that. We didn't shut off the music. We're listening to No-Fi Copyright. They're pretty awesome. I listen to them pretty much every time because I think the music's pretty chill. And it's not even on. Good times. You've been here just listening to my voice this whole time. I had really cool music in the background. It wasn't even there. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. So let's look at some news for the week. I like to start off with my Google News because they like to Google, as we know, Google's not exactly a news source. It is a search engine that allows us to do that. Of course, there's a commercial as I said that. Because it just plays. I know, commercials, capitalism's gonna get us in the end. More sad news from Ukraine. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news horribly in Ukraine, but it seems to be really upsetting. 3 to 10 kilowatt systems in your where area, we're at with what you should Ukraine. I just signed up to be a member of the Red Cross. I don't know if they're going to call me or if I'm going to get to do any kind of situation with that, but I just did that to see if I could give back to whatever's going on with that situation. So I encourage you to give your time, not your money. I'm not one of those people who says you should throw money at a problem like the majority of America's situation is. Because this whole political system we talked about, I thought about starting our own political party. But if you Google how to start political party, the first thing they do is get a bank account and start taking donations. Like the whole system with even our political system and the campaigning and all that is literally set up. Like when I went to file my taxes this year, it asked me if I wanted to contribute $4 to the presidential election fund. Really? F that. F that. Brave browser looks identical to Chrome. Transfer all your Chrome stuff instantly and comes with automatic ad block that works for YouTube, by the way. But if you block people's ads, then you don't actually support the channel. So I don't support ad blocking. Like I should listen to the ad. I probably should have played the ad to pay for the channel even while it's on my channel. So I hate capitalism, but it is the system that we have currently. I know even Chrome has a ad blocker add-on you can put in it, but I wouldn't do it because it doesn't support bootlicker. I mean, you have to change the system from within, I guess. I'll look into it. Brave, you say? A whole nother situation. Are you a bot? Are you a spokesperson for Brave? Like, maybe I'll look into it if they give me a sponsorship. There we go. Talk about capitalism. I definitely hate ads as well, but I also recognize that if I'm not going to give them money, I have to support their content in one way, shape, fashion, or form. If I was one of those people who actually gave money, then I guess I wouldn't watch ads. But if I'm just going to watch somebody's content and then not even watch the ads for it, then nothing's paying for it. Although I do have a problem when I pay for television, like, you know, I subscribe to Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime or whatever, and they give me commercials. I'm like, no, I paid for this. That, especially when I choose to pay a little extra for the limited commercials, and then it's on everything you want to watch. And I'm like, well, this is not. Ooh, I've canceled. What's CBS's? I think it's the Peacock, like 3 times for that, because you can pay $4 extra and it's no difference with commercials. Like you watch the same amount of commercials. I fucking hate that. So indeed. Indeed. So that's the whole rant, is that they're trying to get your money. I want your vote, not your money, and I think we should be able to do that here Wednesday night at 9. Tell your friends, come see this, talk about this, tell their friends. Each person brings 2 people to this party. Done. Eventually it'll work. Just say each person brings two people. We could change the world. Like we saw what Geeks did for GameStop. Power of the Geeks unite. You get enough people, and that was using money and stuff. This is literally, you don't even have to get off your couch. You can probably even use your mail-in votes, unless all the Republicans have taken away the rights to using mail-in votes. Who knows? Who knows? You're probably gonna have to like bring in the long-form birth certificate the next time you go to vote. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Republicans have been in power. We also have 31 Democrats leaving office, so now it's gonna be a great time for them to get some new parties, get some new blood. I myself have thought about running on the Democratic ticket. I'd be closest to the Democrat. Well, I'd be closest to Libertarian, but let's be real. Do the Libertarians ever have a hope of winning? I have heard there is a Democratic Socialist Party that is in the rise at this point. I don't know how far that's I'd have to start with probably my county. Like, I worked at the political I worked the actual polls the last couple of years, so I've gotten to know the people at the registrar's office and such, and I live in the middle of nowhere. So our local, our most local level of government is called the Board of Supervisors here. And I have thought about running for that, but once again... Hey, that's cool. How did you do that? Did you just like look up to see who was running? Like, how did you even determine there was a vacant seat from that? Is there a website? Huh. So probably it's just like if I go to the county, it's probably already listed. I'm not gonna pull that up on YouTube because I don't really want to like name which county I live in. That might get personal. It's be like that'd be like Mordor looking for the hobbits. You know, if you came to my county asking for me, somebody'd know me. I know the Republican hit his term limit in my state, and nobody has filed to run in his place yet. We should just try to fill the seats everywhere we can, yeah? Representative, not Republican, right? Because you can't really run as an independent these days either. That's got their whole stigma for the independent situation. Like, independent's almost its own third party. It's just like the weakest third party. I don't know. I just signed up for the Red Cross yesterday, and I think that might be a better way to help people than trying to change the world through politics, because I'm starting to believe and see that politics are a trap, like in general. So there's that point of view. And I mean, God, who knows with this Ukraine situation? Like, did you see that Russia, right here on the headline from this one, Russia airstrikes the maternity hospital? Like, that's, I realize this is propaganda for sure, but they are clearly, it happened. Like, I realize this is not the only place that it bombed, and I don't want to be like, why do they vote this? Because it's a maternity hospital. That's huge. Like, they're bombing unborn babies at this point. Like, oh my gosh. And then the whole thing with the fighter jets, like nobody wants to take the leap to even give them planes to defend themselves when we won't go defend ourselves in the first place. I really want to be like, I'm from the South, and everybody around here owns a gun, so they can defend their freedom if the time comes. And I want to be like, the sons of the South need to ride for Ukraine. You've been holding that gun all this time trying to defend freedom. Well, here's a clear and present danger to freedom. Get on a plane. A lot of Germany. Ride a train in Poland. Everybody go attempt to assassinate Putin. My plan? Secret spy. I'm working on learning Russian so I can pretend to be a servant. I've been a server my whole life. I can just be obsequious and slide in. Be like, oh, here's your juice, Mr. Putin. Enjoy the juice. That'd be my plan. Now that I've said that, he's certainly going to send the KGB, or whatever. What do they call it now? The STI. I'm going to refer to the Russian Secret Service as STI from now on. It's actually a transmitted international agency. Oh, they're definitely coming for me. That's why I don't want to put my county up on. That's it. I don't want to make it too easy for them. I don't have any illusions that if the Russian hackers wanted to find me, they could, but... Oh, we're going down, guys. Better make it worth it. Better make it worth it. If I don't broadcast next week, it's because I'm in jail. Somebody set the rescue fund. The whole Disney CEO takes a stance on Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. I think the fact that we're having a Don't Say Gay bill in existence is ridiculous. Like, where have we moved to and fro in this universe? I did hear about this morning. Ernest Shackleton's ship Endurance found Ernest Shackleton was the dude who first tried to get across Antarctica by land. He failed. No one died, but he lost the ship, and apparently it's in remarkable shape. Even Fox News has reported Russian bombs maternity channels. That's, you know, it's real when both Fox News and NPR are saying the same thing. It's got to be real. As 2 million people flee Ukraine. How many people were in Ukraine in the first place? People live... Oh, that's an easy one. In Ukraine. Oh, 37 million. So I guess that's not ridiculous, I suppose, considering 37 million people live there and only 2 million of them have fled. That's pretty reasonable. I was thinking it was a much smaller country population-wise. I knew it was the third largest, but that's... I guess I think of Europe as being tiny, but they've been there for a long time. So I imagine they have a ridiculous amount of growth. The Biden signs the cryptocurrency issue. I follow Russell Brand on YouTube, and he's gotten pretty right-wing, but he definitely pointed this out to me the other day. President Joe Biden on Wednesday signed an executive order on government oversight of cryptocurrency that urges the Federal Reserve to explore whether the central bank should jump in and create its own digital currency. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the effort would promote a fairer, more inclusive, and more efficient financial system while countering illicit finance and preventing risks to financial stability and national security. The Biden administration views the explosive popularity of cryptocurrency as an opportunity to examine the risk and benefit of digital assets, said a senior administrative official who previewed the order Tuesday on condition of anonymity, terms set by the White House. Under the executive order, Biden also directed the Treasury Department and other financial agencies, federal agencies, to study the impact of cryptocurrency on financial stability and national security. So the real question there is, would you buy a cryptocurrency from the United States government? Like, I kind of believe that the US dollar is already a cryptocurrency. I mean, you can definitely trade it digitally, so I don't know why they wouldn't say it's already to be having a separate one. You'd have to convince people to purchase into it, and I'm just not sure with the ones that are already existing. Like, they're already behind the curve. But I don't know enough on crypto to really be that guy. But we're seeing it a lot in the news, and it would make me want to invest in it. But I probably wouldn't invest in it in the United States one. I bet I would probably go with Bitcoin, like the original one. It's definitely bad because this whole anonymity terms, like that's going to be huge. That's why I said I don't think I would invest in anything the government put forth, especially financially. They'd be sucking all that away as soon as they can. Faux show. I don't know how we feel like this whole surprise move with Poland and the fighter jets offer. I'm not sure exactly how they thought this was a surprise move. Poland definitely told us since day one they were not going to get involved in the conflict unless Russia provoked them. And them giving planes to us is such a cop-out. Like, oh, we'll just go ahead and give it to the US so then the US can send it over to Ukraine. And I'm like, we had our own fighter jets. That was the whole point. Why didn't Poland want to show any kind of support to Ukraine? I don't understand. We stand together at the beginning or we stand alone at the end, is my defense on that. They're chicken. They're pointedly chicken shit. They're afraid that if they do anything, Russia's going to use it as an excuse to invade Poland, as historically Russia does. But I mean, the fact that they call it a surprise seems a bit jarring. I don't think I was surprised to hear that they were being chicken shit about it. I hope that particular political administration goes down as chicken shit. That's his historical legacy. I already don't know who the Prime Minister of Poland is right now, but he's going down as chicken shit. So are we. We were like, nah, take those back. We don't want to give them either. The surprising thing is that they tried to get us to give them to Russia as if they're that's anybody. Right. Like, Russia still would have used the excuse, but then we would be obligated to defend Poland because we were the one. But we gave you the plans to give to Russia, just that. Like, they're trying. And to be fair, I think the United States should have decisively moved in to Russia. I'd have, like, the second he invaded Ukraine, I'd have flipped the switch to ready all our nuclear weapons right then and there. Just sent him and then called him up and be like, you know what? Get froggy? Feeling froggy? I'm advocating to just call his bluff. I don't think he'd do it. I don't think he would do it. It's a good thing I don't run the country for a lot of reasons. Let me tell you, it's a good thing I don't run the country for a lot of reasons. But I can at least have a political discussion without raising my voice. I can hear other people's opinions. We'd be nuked already. I mean, I don't know. We have enough fighter jets. I mean, there's already missile defense systems have been deployed into India. There's a whole situation. And for the record, if I was to be the person running the country, I wouldn't run the country off my own personal opinions. I would make that very clear at the first part of that I'm going to vote whatever my constituency wants. I'm going to live and work in the people and meet people that represent my constituency, ask their opinions, and then vote what they want. My personal political beliefs are actually irrelevant to running the country of the people, for the people, by the people. But that's a thing. As soon as we start beating Russia, they will nuke. They won't lose. They'll nuke when they're about to lose, which is why we can't even get involved. So if we don't get involved, so how long are these sanctions going to go on? Like, we can't ever acknowledge, like, if we keep sanctions on forever, Russia's just going to okay, well, I guess we'll give up and just give back Ukraine. Or do you think just once they win militarily, they're just going to, back off and show off their state of force? We should remove the sanctions. So you want us just to do nothing whatsoever? Just sit back and watch it happen? Just let Russia take Ukraine? That's your plan? I mean, I feel like this is a repeat of World War II. Like, if you're familiar with the history of that, Germany retook the Rhineland, which was in the Versailles Treaty at the end of World War I, and everyone was like, no, we're not gonna go to World War II because, it's not really worth it. And this is like exactly 100% what it's gonna be, because once he takes over Ukraine, give it a year or two. I mean, because this technically started back with Crimea. So I mean, we should agree to never let Ukraine into NATO. That's all Russia wanted. But is that fair? I mean, the reason he wanted that was so he could invade it when he felt like it. I heard that was the reason we weren't. It's better than war. I mean, not if you're Ukrainian. I definitely saw videos of the Ukrainian people crying and asking for help. I mean, I'm sure if that was your hometown being bombed and your moms and kids and daughters dying in the streets, you would you would not be thinking, oh no, we can't go to war. No, they're already at war. Been at war since he invaded Crimea. He's a bully. Yes, if you are Ukraine, they are the ones getting warred. U.S. doesn't care. We are facilitating a Yemen genocide right now and Somalian attacks. I know nothing of that. Yemen genocide. As the conflict in Yemen enters its 7th year, United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs estimates that it has caused the deaths of nearly 250,000 people. Millions of Yemens continue to face the largest humanitarian crisis in the world, with more than half the population facing acute levels of food insecurity. Yemen depends on imports of almost all the food and essential commodities, and the collapse of the currency has led to skyrocketing food and other commodities prices and reduced households. You know, the beginning of the resource wars has already begun. It appears. I don't know, since you're new, Miss Bias Socialist. I love your name, by the way. Thanks for following too. Since you're new, I'll tell you the story. At the beginning of this journey, I have described the world tension climate as, do you remember like one of those like Astrovans from like the 1980s? They were like huge. You could fit like 100 people in it. So the metaphor is that we're in this van with all like the world leaders representing their countries in a metaphorical sense, and the United States, China, Russia, like the 5 Security Council people. I can't remember the other ones. It's probably France or Germany, probably. But anywho, the big 5 are basically in the front seat, and all the rest of the United Nations are basically crammed into the back. This van is chugging over a cliff. It's going at a good clip, chugging over. The United States, China, and Russia are all fighting over who's driving. Nobody's really actually driving the thing. Everybody else in the van has noticed there's a cliff in the distance, and that nobody's doing anything about that to change the situation. So shit's gonna get real in that van well before we've gone over the cliff. Like, let me just say, shit's gonna get real in that van well before we go over this cliff. And these kind of conflicts where people are running out of food and essential commodities are the shit that's hitting the fan. So that's your analogy for the world that we live in right now. And we really should start calming people down a little bit. You're 100% right, but the sanctions will cause all kinds of economic turmoil all over the world. But now that we've instated these sanctions, we can't take them back until Ukraine's a free country again. Like, what are we gonna do? Let Russia win this situation and then, oh well, I guess the fighting stopped. We better remove sanctions again so we can get our gas prices back down. Which they're never gonna go back down. When have you ever seen gas prices go down? Once these 7-Elevens and Sheets know that we're willing to pay $5 a gallon for gas, that we have to pay $5 a gallon for gas, that we get used to paying $5 a gallon for gas, it's surely going to stay up that much. We can, though. We will appear weak, but we can. Well, that's why he invaded us right now, is because we appeared weak. We have a decrepit old man running the country. Like, he looks like a strong breeze would knock him over. Nobody's thinking that he's going to do any kind of decisive military action. Had it been me, and the first Russian soldier that stepped an inch over Ukrainian's border would have took a bullet to the face, and that would have been the end of that. Like, listen. No, bro. Listen. And then I'd have probably had some drone strikes ready for the Kremlin, because, you know, this is all Putin. Like, the Russian people don't really want this, and I feel bad that these are Russian soldiers and these are real people that are dying. Putin's got to go. Like, the only way that's gonna happen is if the Russian people like pull a Vive la France and like rise up and revolt against his rule. But I just don't know. They're already putting so many people in jail. The protests are getting real over there, and it just doesn't seem like he doesn't care anything about that whatsoever. There's still this whole Z situation now on the side of things that they're describing that it's before the wars and all this ridiculousness. We are weak. We are not going to fight Russia. We never will. We need to stop posturing. Then we will have full-scale war against Russia. You're wrong. It's like 68% of Russians support the war and blame NATO, according to Western polling. Right, and they know 4 Polish guys in a couch in New York. I don't know who they're polling. I mean, like, I watched some videos from like Russian producers here lately. You know how stats work. I mean, yes. Which poll are you talking about? Guess I could Google that too. Russian war support poll? In Russia, opinion polls are a political weapon. Does the Russian public support Vladimir Putin's decision to full-scale military invasion of Ukraine? The situation has been fulfilling. That's not going to tell me about the statistics. So this one says 71% of responders reported the special military. Recent results. Oh. Thank you, Google Translate. Did you already try to join the server? The Discord? There's the Discord. Here, I'll plop that in there. Nope. Nope. Hey, Charlie. I don't know, can you hear me? I don't know, I see your situation going in and out. It still won't let you do the warnings. Hold on. There you go, try now. It's still my lag because Nightbot's ridiculous. Fucking Nightbot. Oh, the Washington Post. About 58% of Russians approve the invasion of Ukraine, while 23% oppose it, according to the poll conducted across Russia a week into Moscow's full-scale assault. The telephone survey carried out last week by a group of independent surveys research organizations found relatively modest support for the Russian... Well, I mean, like... Poll... That's fair. Cite sources. Sources cited. But now where was their sources? The national survey was conducted February 1st and March 1st among a random sample of 1,600 adults across the country. Participants were asked whether they support the Russian military operation on Ukrainian territory. Okay, I mean, it's a lot of people, but now let's think about... Oh, hey, Backcoaster, what up? Why is my emote wall never work? I'm mad about that. Oh, it did? Okay, good. So we're also talking about the like, oh nice, I love the emote wall. It's my favorite. The Ukrainian situation. I'm so distracted right now. We're talking about the propaganda situation in Russia. Like, also, do you really feel like people on the street would feel comfortable telling a random stranger, "Oh no, I don't support the war"? Like, I'm actually kind of surprised it's that many, considering the state of the Russian media. So that's a thing. You can't get your mic to work. Aw, boo. Well, we do this every Wednesday at 9, so feel free to be here next week. And you can always chat via chat. You know, statistics and so on and so forth. But this is the Washington Post, very good source. I appreciate the information that many people. You have to wonder, like, what kind of access they're really getting to the people of Germany at this point. Didn't they get in trouble if they speak out next week? So hey, Ashermaid, welcome in. Good to see you. We're just now discussing. We are still in the chat. If either of you gentlemen would like to join us in the Discord, we're both still in there. Charlie's joined us, but has no mic, and is a biased socialist, and apparently is quite proud of the fact. We just discovered that he has a new type of voting system for us, but Asher Maid and Backcoaster are regulars. And what's my plan? What are we writing in November to get action noticed? And I love there's just a hamburger floating across the screen. I love it. I love it. Oh my god. Emotes. They're my favorite. You have to remember what it is. One of these days, I'll get to affiliate, and then I will create an emote to change the vote. Hey! Be like, we need some emote to change the vote. Yeah, there we go, Asher Maid. Cheerio. Also, I would give you channel points for correct answers, but I'm not an affiliate yet. So thank you so much for your. Oh, I heard something, Charlie. I heard something click. I feel like if you don't use Discord often, you always have to set up your mic in some kind of situation. So yeah, change the vote. That's what we're doing. And I like single transferable voting, and Charlie says the star vote is the way to go. So we're going to talk about star voting next week when I have time to read up about it without, so I don't look like an idiot on my own stream, to be fair. To be fair! So we just discussed that the Washington Post did 58% support the Russians. But I mean, I'm not sure that changes how my opinions, because I really feel like the Russian people are already kind of oppressed and brainwashed and gaslighted on so many things. Not saying the American people aren't necessarily gaslighted on those things as well, but you know how it is. We're gonna do our best to keep it real. Looking at both sides of the world here. So cryptocurrency, and the government in their midst in it, bad. That's everything. We don't really care about the Hollywood news. This I need to look at, because apparently I tried to log into Steam Final Fantasy yesterday, and it was giving me issues, but I won't do that on stream. We talked about the Poland's jet fighter situation. That's stupid. They should really just give them. I think they should just do it already. Like, we're gonna go to World War III. We might as well just do it already. Just get off the pot or shit. One or the other. That's what we're doing. MLB cancels more games because of the price hikes and all the shenanigans. Didn't they have soldiers checking phones so people weren't protesting the war in Russia? Yeah, they've already jailed 12,000 people in the country of Russia for protesting the war. So I mean, I'm sure there are quite a few people out there in the universe that are thoroughly enjoying this situation. So it's a scary world. There's lots of, like, I don't know if you've been noticing all the chip manufacturing situations going on. Like, Whirlpool has invested $80 billion into a superconductor factory here in the United States because we're basically going to go back into isolationism after this. Like, once all the sanctions work out, we're basically in isolationism again, because nobody's going to be doing any trading at all, in fear that it might end up in Russia. Because then you got to talk about the whole Venezuela situation, how suddenly we need Venezuela's oil, but all the shit that Venezuela did is okay now because we need their oil. Like, we the colonizers. Oh god, we the colonizers. I'm sorry to the rest of the world. I wish Native Americans ran the world. I would live in a teepee. It'd be fun. That was so racist. I'd take it back. No, I don't. It was funny. Pelosi strips COVID relief from the massive spending bill after Democratic revolt. Democrats forced the delay. That's something you don't see. Usually Democrats like to spell. Oh, but it also is a Fox News report, so consider the source, folks. Democrats forced to delay a vote on the omnibus spending bill in Ukraine. House Democrats plan to take a quick vote to fund the government and provide aid for Ukraine, where scuttled Wednesday as leadership didn't have those votes to advance a 1.5 trillion massive piece of wait, that's like, it's not even a 1.5 trillion dollar, like a trillion massive piece of legislation. I just like the way Fox News writes their articles. Maybe it's because I don't ever like listen to them. I usually read them because they always say some kind of crazy BS, but they're not even written well. Democrats missed their planned departure to Philadelphia Wednesday in the conference retreat. The House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had pushed back her planned news conference as leadership huddled to find a pathway forward on the $1.5 trillion bipartisan legislation to finance federal agencies for the rest of the year. That's what I keep talking about, is we spend so much money just keeping our government running. Like, we could definitely reduce a great deal of the spending from like administrative costs, like cutting back some of these expense accounts and private jets and office buildings and janitorial staff. Like, yeah, these senators got to clean up their own mess. Sorry, guys. Too bad, so sad. You're a public servant. You should not be living on the high hog. That's all I'll say about that. And this whole... I'm not even real sure what this spending bill is specifically. I've seen her a lot, and I still have no idea who she is. Like, because she's the crazy old lady with the crazy hair. The chair, Rosa DeLorno. Okay. The House is set to vote Wednesday on the omnibus spending bill that would funnel more aid to Ukraine, provide another round of COVID-19 medical assistance, and fund the government through September. The long-awaited package for current fiscal year, which is nearly half over, would provide about $1.5 trillion in discretionary spending for all federal departments and agencies. It also resolves a months-long partisan standoff over how to divvy up the budget pie between defense and non-defense programs. Defense-related spending would raise $42 billion, or 5.6% over last year's level, and $782 billion non-defense spending would increase by $46 billion, or 6.7% to the $730 billion, according to the summary from the House Appropriations Committee Democrats. So let's look at the numbers on that again. Defense-related spending would rise by $42 billion over last year's level. Non-defense spending would increase by $46 billion. So they're increasing spending, government spending, yet again. I feel like they've been doing this for the last like 20 years. Somebody needs to teach them how to balance a book. Not saying, I realize that the government has to have some kind of debt, but I feel like we are just up to our eyeballs in debt right now. And we just keep spending and just keep spending and just keep spending. And then stand around wondering, why is there inflation? What? I don't understand. We gave everybody $1,400 and now it's like there's inflation? What? Da, da, da. Come on now. They did it 3 times. And you can get it back on your taxes if you didn't get one of those. Like, Jiminy Christmas. Jiminy Christmas. The package combines regular appropriations with $13 billion in emergency aid to Ukraine. The priority pushed by both sides and includes a $15.6 billion in additional funding to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, which we saw today Nancy Pelosi had to remove. A late push from governors of both parties kept the cuts prior states and locals aimed limited to $7 billion in remaining recessions spread around the various other pandemic area programs. Yikes. They just spent so much money. White House warns Russia could use chemical weapons in Ukraine on the Hill. Well, that's news that I hadn't seen. Hey, the Congress waives permanent daylight savings time in debate as regular as clockwork. That's like the fluff news. This one's like sandwiched in between chemical warfares in Russia. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. White House warns Russia could use chemical weapons. The White House press secretary Jen What's-Her-Face on Wednesday warned of the potential for Russia to use chemical weapons in Ukraine after Moscow alleged the United States was housing biological weapons in Ukrainian territory. Pinsky called the claim for Russia's false and preposterous, and she warned it would be severe as pretext for Russia to deploy chemical weapons in their assault on Ukraine. It's the kind of disinformation operation we've seen repeatedly from the Russians over the years in Ukraine and other countries, which have been debunked, and an example of the types of false pretexts we have been warned the Russian would invent. Also, Russia has a track record of accusing the West of the very violation that Russia itself is perpetuating. In December, Russia falsely accused the U.S. of deploying contractors with chemical weapons in Ukraine, she continued. All this is all an obvious ploy by Russia to try to that definitely says by Russia to try to justify its further premeditated, unprovoked, and unjustified attack on Ukraine. Now that Russia has made these false claims, China has seemingly endorsed the propaganda, we should all be on the lookout for Russia to potentially use chemical or biological weapons in Ukraine or create a false flag operation using them. It's a clear pattern, she says. I mean, using chemical weapons is against the Geneva Convention. I don't know how much more involvement it would take before we're actually at World War III. Like, if Russia decides to drop nuclear bombs on Ukraine and just Ukraine, or one of these nuclear power plants blows up, are we still just going to stand idly by? I'll say it again. We stand together at the beginning of this, or we're going to stand alone at the end of it. The man's a madman, done lost his shit, is murdering people in the world, and we're just going to keep letting him do it because he's got bigger guns than us. Well, that's not ever stopped the Americans before. Just saying. Ukrainian grandmothers are fighting in their streets, but we're too afraid to send over our troops, our millions of troops that fight and live every day to defend freedom in the country that probably should be in the world, because, you know, there's already United Nations. Like, the United Nations wouldn't be such a joke if it had a military force to back up any of that. But even in that said, Russia is on the freaking Security Council of United Nations. It's still a thing. I can't believe that should definitely have happened immediately. Russia should have been, all its powers from the United Nations should have been revoked. Like, you have an unprovoked war. That should have been a clause in the charter of the UN. If you have an unprovoked war, you are no longer a member of the UN. Just saying. Also, my side point on the gas prices, because that's what we're talking about here, was the gas prices. That's my moving on with that. I'm skipping this one because who cares? So what they all think. Whatever. The gas prices are a thing. Inflation is a thing. But I'd like to remind everybody that we are a capitalist society, and you control the price of things, like supply and demand. I get it. Gas prices are really up right now, but actually they plunged. They went down to $1.08 a barrel, when it was at $1.35 just this morning. So it should come down a little bit. But how many of us went out and filled up when we all saw, oh gosh, Biden said it's going to go up from here. Let's go fill up. And then now it's gone back down again. It also was really convenient how the gas spike happened as there was a trucker convoy circling DC. Like, they made that real expensive for them. because they could have removed the tax. They could have put more oil from the strategic reserve in if they really thought gas prices were going to get untenable, but they didn't. They let it spike for a weekend and probably sent these truck drivers home, and then they let it fall back down to a reasonable price. I still bet it's going to be more than $4 a gallon. Like it's still not going to go down to what it was before, but then we'll get used to $4 a gallon, and they'll go, oh, gas hike, and it'll go up to $6 a gallon, and they'll bring it down to $5, and be like, whew, we got it back down to $5. You're welcome, guys. Yeah, and then just move on out again. Like, it hasn't been that long ago since I started driving, and it was literally 89 cents a gallon when I started driving. And the inflation of that is the same, and it certainly hasn't kept up with the minimum wage increase. And have you seen that Virginia has stopped the minimum wage? We were supposed to get another increase in 2024 to $15 an hour, but they feel that $11 an hour as a minimum wage is fine here in Virginia. So, about that, you can go F yourself with your 7% increase when our inflation is at 17%, but that's okay. Simple math doesn't seem to apply to our government. They spend more money than they make perpetually, and inflation rates and stock bonds and insider trading, that don't matter nobody. Change the vote. That's what we're doing on November, is we're going to change the vote. Yeah? And we're trying to turn this into a political rally. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Be here every week. It's only an hour. We just hang out. We talk about how to change the vote. We talk about some of the news. We talk about the state of the world. We bitch about the government, knowing all well that we have no actual power. But as Mr. Biased Socialist said earlier, you could go look to see if you are able to run unopposed in your local office, because a lot of Democrats are retiring. And they're Democratic seats, and they've been Democratic seats forever, so they might just be Democrats available to just win. So look to see if you can go to help. But I'm much more a proponent of giving your time, not your money. Excuse me. So, well, the music just like stopped and then restarted again. It got me. So, thank you so much for being here, everybody, today. We're going to see you again next week. Bring your friends, tell a friend. We'll talk about star voting next week. So, look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Bye. I always forget there's a transition. I'm horrible at that.